Yeah, she
Yeah.
made those two amazing saves, but I will say there were times when I was also like, wait, what's happening here? Because she would almost like there was one point where I was scared she'd start handling the ball because she was on the line and she was so far in front, and I was just like, does she know where she is on the pitch? Like, it was one of those like weird moments where I was like, why are you here
Yeah.
at all?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our YouTube channel, all about the W. She's here with me as well, and I was wondering what you thought about the first match day. How was the first week? It's the first week of the WSL football is back, so tell me all about it.
My God, it was goals galore. I absolutely loved the first match day. I mean, there are some games I didn't see, but the ones that I managed to catch, I was so excited about the first match day week. I think if this is what it's going to be like every week, then I'm here for it. I'm super excited about this first match day week.
Yeah, yeah. I'm honestly, we did the preview episode and then we hit the ground running. Right, like the match started. It was very very exciting, and I think for me, the best bit about it, and we discussed this while the matches were going on, but simply the accessibility
Yeah.
of now having the WSL not on the FA player but on YouTube. And like I said the other day, I think you know constantly getting logged out of the FA player is such an integral part of being a women's football fan. So that is no longer there, but it is super accessible, and we saw how like excited and vibrant the chat was in the live stream, right? Like you caught some of it.
Yeah, my God, I had fights with people like literally in the United West Ham game. I was fighting with trolls over the importance of women's football. And I was like, wait, why am I having to have this argument? It's a stupid argument. I'm obviously right. Like, there's no need to be having it. But like, trolls be a trolling. And I obviously took the bait. Lesson learned. Don't you watch the live chat, but don't feed the trolls. But weirdly, I thoroughly enjoyed it as well. Like everyone
Yeah,
likes a little good bit of argument while they're watching their football game. And I mean,
yeah.
I had no. Also, in the United West Ham game, I had no like uh fish to fry in terms of it's my team
Hmm.
playing. I have to pay full attention and stuff. So it's okay to like take on a few trolls occasionally.
Yeah, and it was fairly a one-sided game as well, so you wouldn't miss a
Yeah.
whole lot, right? And I also find it really funny because why on earth are you on a women's football live stream and complaining about women's? Just don't watch it. It's
Yeah,
very
just don't
simple.
watch it. Like I'm
Like,
just I I do not understand like this like troll behavior. Like I don't understand why you have to come to a women's football stream, find it on the internet, then be like nobody watches women's football. You're watching women's football, buddy. Like can we just be truthful here?
yeah, and a lot of people had to be blocked and chucked out and all that, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a fun experience because FA player, I think suddenly there's this possibility of a community building as well, right? Like FA
Yeah.
player is sort of isolated. It's very exciting, super
Yeah.
exciting, and honestly, like I have a couple of friends who have seen our videos. They've come around and told me, "Oh, you know what? I would love to watch it." And for the first time, I actually have hope that they might actually catch a few games because it's on YouTube, and you don't need to set up an account on FA Player. So all of that like really helps. And this is of course like limited to India. Like I think here in the UK, some matches are not available on YouTube. All those broadcasting rights specifications are there, specificities are there. So yeah,
Yeah, but
but
even
as
I mean,
yeah,
even with that, like, sorry to like increase the time on this point, but like
no,
70 games, even in the UK, they can watch for free. That's
mm,
quite a bit. Like, okay, they couldn't
yeah,
catch the Arsenal City game for free, but every other game was up there to watch. So I think it's fine. I think as much accessibility as you can get, it's always better.
yeah, it's a start, and we know in the way the game is growing, we know that there is going to come a point when you're going to have to start paying for all of it.
Yeah, but
Probably sooner than we thought
honestly, the
initially.
only good thing about having to pay for it might be better camera work. I just somebody fire the people doing the camera work on these games that just I just the production quality just improve it a little bit, just a little bit, not like a teensy weensy bit, you know. I can't. Sometimes I get so frustrated by the camera work. Sorry,
Okay,
mini
don't
rant.
fire people, just like improve
Yeah,
it.
don't fire people. Just have
Learn on
them
the
do
job.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do better. That's our feedback. Ash, do you want to get started with the big match of the weekend?
Yes. Yes.
City
Yes.
going to the Emirates, ending in a 2-2 draw. Goals for City from Jess Park and Viviana Miedema, and for Arsenal from Beth Mead. And who was it? Who scored? Apart from
Um.
Mead. Was it Stina? No, it was Frida Monum. Frida Monum who scored. So, yeah, what did you think?
Okay. So I mean, obviously I had very like strong opinions of this game before the match. I wanted City to go there and smash Arsenal, but I mean, I knew that wasn't possible because they had lost at their record at the Emirates is not that great, and they lost both the fixtures home and away to Arsenal last year. So it wasn't looking likely that they'd just go there suddenly magically and just turn up and be like amazing. And I will say that the Arsenal crowd was just amazing at the Emirates. They made it really hostile and like they really enjoyed themselves. And I could see that with City when they first started out, because when they first started out, they were absolutely shaky. There was no midfield. Like Arsenal were just the Arsenal press was so amazing. It would not, even when City had more possession than Arsenal, it was very obvious which team was on top. At
Yeah,
when we first started out, and like the level of organization that Arsenal started that game out with for the first say 15-20 minutes, my god, that press was mad, the energy was mad, the organization was mad. It was just they were working like one unit. I think what
yeah,
let Arsenal down, but where they couldn't really capitalize on that initial momentum, was the fact that they couldn't convert their opportunities into goals, and that
yeah,
really let them down, because then City found their way back into the game, and that's thanks to Miedema. Miedema, my God, what an amazing performance from Miedema! I mean, she obviously had something to prove. She did that without doubt. Like they all sort of worked themselves into the game. Bunny Shaw was a little off. I think
yeah.
she could have done a little bit better.
Yeah,
But
she's coming back from an injury, so I'm honestly without a lot of thought put Bunny Shaw in my fantasy team,
my
and
God, me too. Somebody should have told me not to.
no, you know what? I should not have put her because she is coming back from an injury. She did not play a whole lot of minutes in the preseason. So, and you could see it. You could see that she's a bit rusty. Like, usually her movement is absolutely elite. And also, I think maybe she's also trying to figure out how to play alongside with Miedema, because they're both players who drop deep. Like, Bunny Shaw
Yeah,
was like playing DM at one point. I was like, what are you
yeah,
doing there?
yeah,
They're both players who like to drop a bit deeper. So maybe figuring out that connection and that link up might take a little bit of time. That could also be another factor. But yeah, what you said is absolutely right. Like Miedema, um, for both the goals, she was like, for the second goal, especially the pass out to, I think it was out to him, was beautiful. The cross that was sent in, and then she headed it back. Park scored. So that pass was wonderful, and then of course that kind of perseverance she showed for the first goal, where she just like did not let go. They were like two nutmegs, but not like smooth nutmegs, but
yeah.
nutmegs nonetheless.
Not much.
So a nutmeg is a nutmeg, and that was
He's a
also
nutmeg.
absolutely amazing. For me, I think what Jonas probably got right for this game is playing Stina Blackstenius, because I think she did a phenomenal job of stretching that back line. Because we know
Yeah,
City is going to play a high line. We know that they're
yeah,
going to maybe like do like a high press every now and then. So you know that space is going to open up. And Arsenal were playing fairly direct. Like they were like, I mean, they do play pretty football, but yesterday you could see that the idea was to play a little more direct. And I thought Stina also did a really good job of um, like dropping to the left wing and Caldente cutting inside. I think she did some really good work there because Stina's strength, apart from finishing, is also her pace.
Yeah.
So I thought she was actually really good, and that 1v1 with Yamashita that Stina and Russo had, they absolutely need to finish those chances. Otherwise, we're going to see like a similar problem. Like honestly, Arsenal could have possibly won that game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to be fair, City could have also possibly won that game. There was a point where I was just like, "How is Miedema not scored 3 goals?" Because there were like two real scuffed chances where I was just like, "How did you not score that?" You know.
Yeah,
They both had like their really good chances. I mean, one could argue that Arsenal had more of those really good likely chances. Maybe,
yeah,
say 3-2. But
yeah,
I feel like a draw was the best result this game could have because at different points of time, different teams were up in this game. I will say that Kasper could have done a little better. Uh,
yeah,
because I do feel like City's fullbacks needed to like put in a better shift. Kasparai
yeah,
especially because she was caught ball watching a bunch of times and just Arsenal would just breeze past her, and
yeah.
it was quite frustrating, especially when I was supporting City. Um, I'm just
And I
screaming at the
think Wahhabi
television.
as well. Like Kasparai was still, I would say, she was okay.
Yeah,
But Leila Wahhabi, I mean, the first goal comes from her just being caught out of position.
yeah,
And, I also felt like for the first Arsenal goal, maybe Hasagawa could have done a little better because Manam just
yeah,
like crashed the box completely unmarked. She did put in like a slightly late-ish tackle, but I feel
yeah,
like Yui
indeed.
should have tracked back harder. And I think Yui generally did not. I mean, she had a decent game, but
Yeah,
the usual playmaking and sort of just how exceptional she is positionally. I
yeah,
felt like
yeah.
those things were a little missing. And fair enough. It's the first game of the season. Like
Yeah, and
everybody's a bit.
sometimes also what happens is when you two really good teams play each other, they kind of cancel each other out, and so they
Yeah,
both look slightly worse than they are. And I think at different times in the game, you could see their quality, but at there were other times when you felt like they were not performing up to par, especially with
yeah,
City. And I think that's a testament to the other team because when you
yeah,
get
absolutely.
challenged like that, it's harder to pull off your best moves.
Hmm. And I also thought, I honestly did not even see Wahhabi getting subbed out. She got
Yeah.
subbed out in the 40th minute because I saw Kennedy playing centre back at halftime and Alexandria had like shifted to left back,
Yeah, yeah. Kennedy was
which I
awesome, by
think
the way.
Kennedy was great. Like passing out from the back was a bit iffy, but again, like she's also rusty. She's not played a whole lot, I believe.
Yeah,
But Kennedy was immense. I think she was pretty good. But yeah, I was pretty disappointed with Wahhabi. And it's interesting because like I genuinely thought that might be like a position, like fullback might be the position that City would try to strengthen because
yeah,
Wahhabi, is somebody who's been around for quite some time. And even in the last season, there have been times where people have very easily dribbled past her. And unfortunately, City's backline doesn't have that recovery pace like Greenwood. Excuse me. Greenwood is not the fastest. Um,
yeah.
Kennedy is all right with pace. Alexandri is relatively better in terms of her tracking back. Uh, but yeah, I'm surprised they didn't strengthen because especially since they lost Esme Morgan, who could actually play on either sides. But yeah, I mean, uh, what did you think about um, City's front line? What did you make of
Um,
Fujino or uh, Bunny or Hem, for example?
I mean, I thought that they were. It's a slightly mixed bag because with him, for example, she would go forward a lot, and she would find herself really good places sometimes in the box, but then it wouldn't amount to much. So like you can only you can only rate a forward sometimes on their movement because there's no goal, there's nothing to sort of like point to and be like this is the reason person is here. but at the same time, I was a little, like the City. I've seen City forwards demolish Spurs time and again and again and again and
All
again,
right. Yeah.
so many times,
Until they didn't.
until
Until
they
they
did.
did not.
Yeah. So, I have such a high opinion of the City forwards, but I feel like this was not the game for them. There were a lot of chances, uh, half chances that they had where they made the wrong decisions, where it was scuffed, it was directly to the goalkeeper. So I do feel like, and plus they kept yeah, what I
Don't even get me
couldn't cry.
started with
Why
Gareth
also thinking
Taylor
about
and
this?
switching wings. I remember texting you last season because I was so tired of suddenly seeing Kelly in Hemp's position and seeing Hemp in Kelly's position or something. And I texted you asking, why do managers switch? Because I am new to football and Ash knows more about football than I do. So I was like, why does Gareth Taylor keep doing that? And yesterday I Fujino had this brilliant chance. She was right in front of goal, kind of unmarked, but she just took an extra touch, which allowed Katie McCabe to sort of come and like block that shot. But my God, that was an immense chance. And I thought
Yeah.
maybe from like, I don't know, maybe Gareth Taylor would reflect on it similarly, but I felt like maybe this was too big a game to start Fujino in because she
Yeah.
is young, she's 20, she's just come to the club. Maybe it might have been wiser to have Chloe Kelly. Maybe Taylor feels that her form is
I
dropped,
mean,
but maybe
speaking of
starting
people,
Fowler.
speaking of people who got their debut in the game, what did you think of Rosa Kafaji?
Oh, like, did you see the impact she made? Like when
Yeah,
she
that's
came
what I'm
on.
asking.
I mean, that's Kafaji, man. Like, what else? Listen, I am a big Kafaji fan. And, when they came on, well, Beth Mead did end up scoring the goal. But
Yeah,
when Kafaji came on, you could see just like how the decision making in the final third was consistently getting better. Like her
yeah,
passes was like splitting the defense. She is actually, yeah, and the runs that she makes, like
yeah.
to actually, that was actually really good, by the way. That burst of
Honestly,
energy
I
that
was
she
just like,
had.
she should have started. Like, I'm just like, when
Yeah,
you have a player like that, you play them. I don't care. She's
yeah.
new, 1 day old, 2 day old, 5 day old. Like, you play them. So,
Yeah, to be
fittest,
fair,
like
I
you
mean,
could
she would have
do.
started instead of Monum, and Monum did score. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, that's true. Fair enough.
And another thing is, I feel like Idawal feels like Monum and Blackstenius work really well together. Like
Yeah,
their
yeah,
link up
yeah.
is actually pretty good. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
I
that
mean, for
morning goal
me,
was really good as well. So,
yeah, Monum's goal was really nice. She scores a lot of bangers, by the way.
yeah.
But what to make of? I guess we'll maybe wrap up unless you have something. Do you want to talk about the offside goal? I mean, the goal that was ruled offside, and
I mean, not
do you have
really. It
much
was
to
pretty like,
yeah? And also, like, I suppose it may have been onside, but at the same time,
it was just honestly, like with these type of things, I am very pro ref decisions because these things balance out over time. I would rather have that than have VAR in the game, like where everyone's just standing for 10 minutes waiting on somebody who's drawing lines in the back somewhere, like and I also feel like with women's football, they'll mess it up even more because they won't give enough attention to it and to the rules and everything because like uh because they just don't care. Like I'll be honest, like if they can't do if they can't do better production quality, I'm pretty sure they can't do better VAR either.
no,
So
no, no, we're
so
not
I'm
there yet. Like, yeah,
yeah, I do not want to see VAR in the women's WSL especially. And so I'm just like, if there are offside decisions, if it's a whisker here, it's a whisker there. Like, let's just trust the linesmen, let's trust the refs, and these things will balance out over time. I could not be bothered to have them change that just because of one or two iffy decisions
yeah.
here and there.
But you know what I would like is goal line technology. So there's no goal line technology
My
in
God,
WSL.
yeah. Goal line technology, I would like. Yes. You don't remember the Spurs versus Chelsea for OC
Yes,
season
I'm
opening
thinking about the
last
game.
year? My God, I was just so ecstatic about the fact that Chelsea didn't get that goal because it was so clearly a goal.
Yeah, and then we literally scored 5 seconds later. If we hadn't
Yeah.
scored that goal, Emma Hayes would have had a meltdown. She would have
Yeah.
made the FA install goal line technology everywhere in the country.
Especially because until that moment, Spurs were actually putting up a decent fight. Like I thought
Yeah.
we sorry, we're talking about the wrong match day week.
Anyway, so
Let's
yes,
go
yeah,
back.
sorry. But one last thing, maybe quickly, I think the surprise decision, well, on one side, it was Russo not playing, which is fair enough. Like Black Tennis, there was a plan there. But what did you make of Kiara Keating not starting and Yamashita starting in her place, the goalkeeper?
Um, Honestly, I don't have an opinion. If you have one, go for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, okay. I actually thought I was also surprised, but for me, in the last season with Keating, she's an excellent shot stopper, right? Like she's a tiny person, but
Yes.
she has a good stretch in her. And for me, I think maybe this is City's way of kind of shielding her a little bit, giving her time to grow into that role. Because she did have a few, oh no, like crazy moments where she would. So Kiara Keating is somebody who loves coming off her line, right?
Yeah, yeah, I've seen
She,
that.
yeah, and you've seen that against Spurs in that FA Cup
Yeah,
game. So that's something that's happened multiple times, and a couple of times she got away with it. But in like a cup game, something like that can prove very costly. And she
yeah,
is like 19, 20 years old. That's very young. So maybe having the like maybe it's possible that we're seeing Yamashita as like the first choice goalkeeper for now. And if they
yeah,
do fight for that position and Keating comes out on top and starts for City, that's a different thing. But for now, it seems like Taylor is going Yamashita's way. I thought she looked okay. In fact, I was a bit freaked out about how much Yamashita was coming off the line.
yeah.
She was charging out for everything, and I was like, wait, I thought this is Keating's problem. She also has the same problem. But
Yeah, no,
she made those two really good saves.
yeah, she
Yeah.
made those two amazing saves, but I will say there were times when I was also like, wait, what's happening here? Because she would almost like there was one point where I was scared she'd start handling the ball because she was on the line and she was so far in front, and I was just like, does she know where she is on the pitch? Like, it was one of those like weird moments where I was like, why are you here
Yeah.
at all?
Yeah, I think maybe City's goalkeeping coach, like coaching staff, that might be something they all want to work on together because
Yeah,
clearly that's like a common problem across. But they do
yeah,
have a couple of other goalkeepers. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a decent, she's also new and communicating with the back line and all that. Those
yeah,
things
yeah,
take a
yeah.
bit of time. I thought overall it was a decent performance from her. Yeah. So do we want to move on to Chelsea Aston Villa?
Yeah, sure. Let's do Chelsea Aston Villa. I mean, I will be honest with you, this game was such a snooze fest. I saw about half an hour of it. It was late at night over here. And I swear, I like at the 43rd minute, my eyes were like, oh, half time, I'll take a small nap and I'll come back to it. And the small nap became a big nap, became
Never
sleep.
woke up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have just woken up, people. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
No, but I thought, see, when we did our predictions, I predicted 1-0 Chelsea
Yeah.
because Chelsea have this history of just starting very rusty. They like first
Yeah.
game of season is never good for Chelsea, so I didn't expect anything massive. For me, I think the lineup, Chelsea's lineup at least was interesting. Actually, even Villa's lineup was quite interesting for different reasons. But I don't know. Playing Guro Wrighton in the 10 is something I am not fond of at all. I think she's one of the best left wingers in the world, and her
Yeah.
talents, her ability to cross the ball should not be wasted by putting her in the number 10 because um, like Norway does this from time to time. This is like a Norwegian experiment, which
Yeah.
and we know how the like Norway women's team perform. Like they're not great. So I personally was not a big fan. She did have those two early chances, which she dragged wide. I think both pretty early on in the game. I think within the first 10 minutes. But after that, she was really quiet, and I think she like Bompastor pushed her to the left wing. and she was
Yeah.
putting some good crosses in and all that. But that was much later into the game. Yeah, so not the biggest fan. It was interesting to see Buchanan and Bright start together. I thought Buchanan was immense at centre back. I thought she had a fantastic game. In fact, both Buchanan and Bright really worked well together. Like you could
Yeah.
see that the communications was on point because honestly, like both the fullbacks had like a not so great game. So it meant that Buchanan and Bright had to cover a lot of ground. I
Yeah.
thought they did that really well. For Villa, I was really excited to see Missy Bokan start. I was excited to see Chastity Grant start, both new signings, both young players, you know. I did not expect Grant to start at all because
Yeah.
I don't know why she's coming from Ajax. I thought, you know, there's more experience in that right wing position in Adriana Leon.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was interesting to see the lineup in general.
What did you think of Lucy Bronze?
Lucy Bronze, I think it was a very Lucy Bronze-esque performance. She had some really good moments going forward. She is like, she is an attacking fullback, and she had some really bright moments going forward. Um, and I think Lucy Bronze and like more like our attack was pretty much entirely going through the right
Yeah,
back,
that's what I was gonna say
and
as well, because like when the goal happened,
yeah,
even like Kennedy, that's how you pronounce it, I think, scored the goal,
Canada, yeah,
and I feel like everything was coming from that side. Like it felt like if a goal would come, it would come from that side. So like honestly, I mean, there was Villa had their opportunities. I thought they had one or two like decent opportunities, but on the whole, everybody knew Chelsea was going to win this game. It was a very stodgy sort of game because the passing was subpar, and the progressive play was
was pinball. It was just like everybody
yeah,
was kicking it up, and it was all over the place. And yeah, I think Bronze was good, but again, her issue is sometimes just recovery, like when she
yeah.
like is tracking back, all those things. But like I said, Buchanan did a good job of covering for her. I thought I'm honestly really worried about our left back position because Neve Charles is out till probably till after the winter break. She's recovering from surgery.
Yeah.
So
This also
uh,
annoys me, like because she's on my fantasy team as well, and I just
you
subbed
should
her for
change
this
her.
week, and now I have to transfer her out. It's a
Yeah.
whole mess.
Yeah,
Over an
and
arm,
Ashley
you
Lawrence.
don't play with your arms.
I know, but you do have to run, right? Anyway, we wish you well, Neef Charles.
Yes, yes. Please get well soon.
We won't be mean. But yeah, I think Ashley Lawrence, like since she's signed with Chelsea last season, she's a good fullback, but she can be very inconsistent. And yesterday was
Yeah,
not a great Friday was not a great game for her. But
yeah,
yeah, we will see how it goes. I think Villa had this really good chance of like that Missy Kearns really just guided it. She was right in front of goal. It was like a tap in, but the pass, like the weight on the pass from Grant was not great. I think she was actually shooting. She wasn't
yeah,
passing, but that was a big opportunity. And then, of course, the drama that happened in the 94th minute where the goalkeeper almost scoring from a corner or a
Oh,
free
that
kick.
was amazing. Did you see that? I was like,
Yeah,
very, very few times do you see goalkeeper on goalkeeper action. I was just
yeah.
like, come on. It was really sad that it didn't work out. But I would have loved to see a goalkeeper score. It's so rare. It's so rare. It would have been
My
amazing.
heart was in my throat. Like there was a lump in my throat because I was like, that did not just happen. Because
Yeah,
I think because we have a problem with set pieces. Like this team conceded three set piece goals in one match against Liverpool last season. So we have a problem. So like when we were fouling people in the last minute, I was like, no, don't do that. You are not good at set pieces, you know.
yeah.
So
And
but you know,
like I said, I fell asleep in the game, and I actually saw the goalkeeper on goalkeeper goal thing, not goal thing. On the Spurs game in halftime, they were showing the Chelsea match replay, and I was just like, "Wait, I missed this, the only interesting point in this whole game."
came in the last 10 seconds.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was really funny because after the final whistle, D'Angelo and Hannah Hampton like hugged and they were like giggling about the whole thing because,
Yeah,
I think there is always that goalkeeper camaraderie. Oh, I know what you went through type of thing.
yeah.
So that was a really nice moment that they managed to capture, I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Chelsea looked okay, and I think Villa's going to look very interesting. We'll have to see how Dippa sort of sets them up. They do have problems playing out from the back sometimes, which we'll see how they plan to address. But yeah, overall, I actually thought Villa played really well. Maybe a
Yeah, I think
draw
they
may
played
have
well
been
as
a fair
well.
result. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Chelsea also, I guess, eventually just threw their body on the line and defended
Yeah.
well. That's it. Yeah, like you said, it wasn't the most exciting. It was exciting 10 seconds at the very end. That was it. Oh
Yeah.
my God, we have not spoken about the goal.
Yeah.
Ritin Kanared's goal. Oh my God, what a
I
beautiful
mentioned,
goal.
no, to be fair, I mentioned it and then nothing
Sorry, you
happened
did.
after
You
that.
did. It was really interesting because Kanared is somebody who struggled with goals in her. She struggled with goals in her first season, and her shots invariably tend to be a little weak. Um, she's not the best striker of the ball, but my God, her first touch yesterday was excellent. Oh, just phenomenal. She had a phenomenal game. There was this pass that I think from Millie that had come from Millie Bright, and the first touch, the way she took it was just beautiful and just like ran almost as if she was moving with like a stationary ball that she just kicked. It was really amazing, and yeah, the goal, she said after in the post match that she has been practicing shooting with the left foot, and she scored with her left foot. So from outside the box, it was beautiful. I don't think D'Angelo had any chance of stopping that. Yeah, one last thing I think is in terms of the signings, new signings, I thought Thomas had a really good game in Villa centre back. I thought she was all over the pitch, and I generally thought she won her duels really well. Yeah, I thought she also had a good game. Someone to keep an eye out for, I suppose. Yeah. What about the Spurs Palace game?
Oh yes, my beloved Spurs, who
Yeah.
won 4-0, but in my head they won 6 or 7-0. Martha Thomas and Beth England, please wake up! Like the season has started. My God, the two of them combined, they must have had like 4 or 5 like clear cut opportunities. There was this one opportunity where Beth England was like one on one with the keeper, and like my entire I could have gambled my entire soul that she would have scored that. Okay, because she was one on one with the keeper, she was in the best possible position, and I have no clue. They were just like sending it straight to the palace keeper. Like the ball was just going straight to the palace keeper, and I was just like, wait, are we playing like dodgeball or something? Like, are we supposed to send it towards the
There's
keeper?
all space around her, guys.
Yeah, like there's a hole. Like my God. But
Oh
I mean, I
no.
would have to say about the palace keeper, she did an amazing job.
Yeah.
She was not like she wasn't like intimidated by the event or the occasion. She pulled out some amazing stops. And on the whole, also, like even the stuff that came to her, she had to be where she was to get it. So
Yeah.
her positioning, her anticipation, she just did an amazing job. Having said that, Palace, somebody needs to have Palace run marathons because Palace were only alive till like the 30th minute of that game. Like they started really well, and it felt like they were up to the task of playing in a WSL. But half time finished, they came back on, and I felt like somebody had just like drained all their juices in the dressing room, because they came out and it just felt like there was like they were just not there. It was just Spurs with the ball, and they were sometimes blocking their balls. Like there was no
Right.
football being played by like Palace looked so tired. Like by the 70th minute, I think they just gave up. They were just like, we're not even going to try. And
Yeah.
with that attitude, I don't see them going very far. I didn't feel like it was a problem of class. I think that they have the ability, they don't have the fitness. Like I think
Yeah.
whoever is looking after Palace, you don't have to be the most expensive transfer to be fit, and that's
Mhm.
something every team can achieve across the board.
Yeah.
And
That's really
So
concerning because, like, how do they set up? Like, what did you think about how they set up? Like, do you feel like they might choose to sit in a low block against different teams?
I mean,
Did they sit in
obviously,
low block
I don't
against?
know how Palace play
Hmm.
because,
Yeah.
like, I've not seen them on a regular basis. But I can say from this game that they didn't like they were. It wasn't even a low block, honestly. It was they just like they were coming out, and every time they were trying to be brave, also like Spurs would just take the ball from them, not because they didn't have the ability to hold on to it, but they just it felt like they were tired of running and fighting for it. Like all the second
Hmm.
balls, all the uh like there were so many times when Spence was just like getting the ball off a Palace player, and I was just like, what are you doing?
I
Keep the
saw that.
ball.
Yeah.
You
They
know,
kept
like
getting dispossessed, right? There were a lot of turnovers in that midfield.
yeah.
Uh,
And they were not, it wasn't because Spurs are so brilliant and amazing. It was just I felt like it was a lack of quality from Palace. I mean, not that Spurs didn't play well. I thought Spurs also played well. But and some of the passes there was in the first half it was like equal kind of, but in the second half suddenly Spurs just awoke. I don't know what happened, something must have been said, but the passing in the second half was just absolutely fantastic. I mean, I in my head we won this game 7-0, 6-0, something like that, because
yeah.
Martha Thomas should have 2 goals, Beth England should have 2 goals. Those absent goals, I hope, are not going to trouble us through the season, because Martha, this happened to her last year as well, where she scored amazingly in the first half of the season. She got like some 6 goals or whatever, and then suddenly in the second half of the season, the goals dried up. We need
Yeah.
everyone to sort of contribute, because we've lost Clinton and Bizet, and that's a small good chunk of the goal scoring. I will say this, Haley Raso, I owe you an apology. Uh, Haley Raso, I was like, oh, she may not have goals in her. She only scored 4 goals last season
She
for
proved
Real
you
Madrid.
wrong, didn't she? She was like, Ash, shut
God, did she
up.
prove me wrong? She was just like, shut the hell up. Like all the haters, shh, because
Hmm.
sorry, I'm going on about this, but like there was this point where, like when she scored, right, there were 3 players around her. She beat 3 players, and you could see this throughout the game. There were where she would like consistently beat 2 or 3 people, and then she would pass the ball, and it's just amazing to see that. And even in the goal she scored, like she must have beat 3 or 4 people in that goal. It was a wonderful goal.
Yeah.
So Haley
It was
Raso,
from a tight angle as well, right? It was really nice. No, I said it
sorry.
was from a tight angle as well.
Yeah, it was a really tight angle. She beat 3 people. It was just, it was fabulous to watch. Like
Hmm.
I was very appreciative, and she was doing that the whole game. Generally, I have a problem with wingers, like not beating their person. Like where, like they don't take their person on. Like it's about courage.
Hmm.
Like show some courage, even if you lose the ball, go for it. And I just
Yeah.
felt like she at all, like Nas was not having that courage on the left, for example, but like she was just showing people how it's done. It was just amazing
Yeah.
to watch, and I feel like like if this is how she plans to play, like there's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, it's that pace thing, I feel very similarly about Johanna Rytting Kanerud as well. These are two wingers who have like real pace on them. So you
Yeah,
just need to sort of just like run, and
yeah.
people may not catch you. That's why, I mean, like said in the previous episode, like Rasso's biggest strength is probably her pace. So yeah, maybe we'll see more of those, strong runs
But
from her as
honestly,
well.
like in this game, I thought it was the ball control. Like
Hmm.
I thought it wasn't even pace. It was tight angles. It was about taking on like in close contact situations, coming away with the ball. Uh, it just like basic, like really good passing. I felt like possible. She is because Naz is fast too, but I think the difference between the two was that like superior footballing ability.
Right, right. Fair enough. Fair enough. And I think the question that we all had on our mind, this Thomas England experiment. Where do you think that's at? Do you think does it seem to you like Thomas will be the starter? Uh, your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think this. writings on the wall. The fact that first game of the season, both of them are fit, and he starts with Thomas. That suggests to me that he plans to bring England on in the second half, in the 68th or 70th minute or whatever. Um, I and actually that might suit both of them because England can come on as a super sub like she did last game and
Right.
score one or two goals, and she's amazing. Suddenly the game looks different. You have someone like England to bring off the bench. That's amazing for Spurs, and
Right.
I do feel like Thomas. Um, I do feel like Thomas becomes worse as the game goes on. So my she might also benefit from a substitution.
Oh,
So I
you
think
you
that
think
works.
she's yeah, I mean if that works for Spurs, then that works, right? You have two elite strikers and one can start well and one can finish well. That would
Yeah.
yeah. Because Beth England did come off the bench quite a bit after Sam Kerr was signed to Chelsea, and she
Yeah.
would score goals. So yeah, I mean uh, I think maybe we can start wrapping up now. Is there anybody else that you want to shout out from the other matches?
Um,
Um,
Yeah, I will say this about United versus West Ham, who we haven't talked about, is that United fans stop acting like that 3-0 was just out down to United brilliance. West Ham was so bad in that game. United, they did, it's a Skinner off Ryan versus Mark. And I felt like there was no, like, there was no tactics, there was no plan, game plan, like,
who
especially, like,
is
I
the
West
worst
Ham,
Skinner?
yeah, even though West Ham had a tactics and a game plan, etc., they didn't know how to execute it because they were terrible. But United, like, they just had really good players. It's not like they had, what is Mark Skinner's playing style? Like, because there was nobody knows because there were no tactics, there was no game plan. I couldn't see it. It was just a good players put on the pitch. Here's the football, go, and at first you could see like Clinton and stuff being really uncomfortable with that, and they grew into the game as they started playing with each other. But I will say that has nothing to do with Mark Skinner's managerial capabilities or United's amazingness, because it was just a really bad West Ham, I'll be honest.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, for West Ham's sake, I hope they get better, but I honestly don't see it happening. I mean, we know. Listen, again, Ryan Skinner's managerial, like whatever tactics, is not something I've personally paid close attention to. But if we were to go by last season, I think, yeah, she's hanging on by a thread, I would say, at this point. Yeah, for me, I think in the Brighton Everton game, wow, Brighton just came out guns blazing, man. They beat Everton 4-0. Uh, Kiko Sieki, oh, what a hat trick! Like a debut hat trick. That is just insane. And I thought throughout the game, she carried the ball extremely well. The goals were beautiful. Like even the second goal, where she just like headed the ball and fell flat on her face. Like excellent goal. And I thought she linked up with Frank Kirby and Bruna really well as well. And I think Brighton might be a team to watch out for because Kirby was great. Kirby scored a penalty. Yay. First goal with Brighton. Always exciting. I'm a big Kirby fan. So, and I also thought Poppy Pattinson had a really good game. Uh,
Yeah.
in the left midfield area, I thought she won her duels really well. I think with Everton, yeah, I think the problems kind of persist in terms of playing out from the back, you know, losing the ball in your first third, just like playing out from the back, sloppy in general, getting dispossessed there. Those problems seem to happen. And I think Brighton also had similar problems in that
Yeah.
their defense, so losing the ball a little bit. But fortunately for them, Everton just could not finish their chances. So,
Yeah.
yeah, people to watch out for. I mean, CAQ was excellent. Maybe when other teams start to figure her out because she's been playing in the Japanese league all her life. So maybe
Yeah.
once people start to figure her out, then we'll see more of it. But yeah, exciting game, Brighton versus Everton. I think the
Yeah, I
last
mean,
game.
I was very like I didn't see the whole game because I was watching the other game, but like I was watching United versus West Ham. I wish I had been watching this instead. But it was like I'm excited for Brighton. Like I said in the first episode, they're the dark horse. They're worth watching out for. I think if they get all the ingredients in place. Um,
Yeah.
Liverpool versus Leicester. This one I did not catch. I know from like the from Foot Mob that it's like Sophie Roman Haig scored in like the extra time in the first half, and then that was followed almost immediately by a goal by Rantala in the second half in the 53rd minute, and then it just stayed that way till the rest of the game. So it was a
Yeah.
draw. I figured draw is a fair result in considering the quality of both those teams.
Mhm.
I don't have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, I saw the highlights. I also could not catch the game myself, but when I did watch the highlights, the sense that I got was like Liverpool did create better chances. Like somebody like a Rantala, I mean, she's again somebody who scores bangers. That's Yuta
Yeah.
Rantala. I really like her as a winger, and um it was almost like typical Leicester and typical Liverpool. Liverpool scored from a corner, as they
Yeah.
do because they have very tall players. Like everybody is like
Yeah.
near 6 feet. Like Hobinger, sorry, Roman Hogg is like I don't know up there. Gemma Bonner is up there. Kerry Holland is very tall. So you have all these tall players, and they're really good with set pieces, and they do take advantage of that. So they scored in the most typical Liverpool way, and
Yeah.
Leicester scored in the most typical like Leicester way, where Momiki had this beautiful pass, and then Rantala just like scores.
Yeah.
And so, but in general, seeing the highlights, I did get a sense that maybe Liverpool could have done a bit better in front of goal. But yeah, I think uh, we'll obviously catch more of Leicester and Liverpool in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah.
You know, uh, and we'll talk about those teams a little more. See how the
Yeah. I
new
mean,
signings are faring, how the managers are setting up, all of that.
y- yeah, especially because I think isn't wait. Yeah, no, they. I have a feeling that we won't. They're playing Arsenal, right? Leicester. So I feel like we'll talk about that game for sure in the next
Yeah,
coming week. So I think
yeah.
that's going to be a fun fixture. Just before we get done, which fixture do you think is the best for next week? Manchester. I'll give you the fixtures. It's Manchester
Okay.
City versus. Okay, wait. Sorry. It starts Crystal Palace, Chelsea, then Manchester City, Brighton, Everton, Manchester United, Leicester, Arsenal, West Ham, Liverpool, Aston Villa, Spurs.
I think Villa Spurs might be an interesting matchup, right? I think both evenly placed teams have had some good signings in the summer. It'll be interesting to see how those two go up against each other because they did finish close to each other in the table last season, right?
Yeah.
The other one, I think the City Brighton one might be very exciting because last season City very like against all odds somehow managed to lose to Brighton. Like they had some
Yeah,
32
yeah.
shots and could
Yeah,
not
because
score even
also
one.
because I love this chaotic way that Brighton play. It's wonderful. I think, and both teams are forward looking, so it'll be an exciting game in terms of
Yeah.
tactics. Also, I think it'll be something to catch.
Yeah. I think those are the two exciting games. Yeah. I think that's all we have for you today. And we'll catch you next week with more reviews of the fixtures in the WSL. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you next week. Bye bye. Hi everyone, just wanted to remind you to like the video, to subscribe to our channel, share the video and the channel with anybody you possibly could, and make sure that you leave some comments below, uh, your thoughts on the WSL, your thoughts on the video, and also any kind of feedback that you have for us is always welcome. Thank you for watching.